Hey guys, welcome to our Sunday stream here today. And guys, I'm proud to announce that this will be the final leg of the trip. This would be the final leg of the Berlin-Beijing trip here today. We're here in Shenyang. It's great to have everyone here. I appreciate all of you guys who've shown up now. So, I'm glad to have you all here today. So, this will be the final leg of the trip. So, it's good to have you guys here for today. So, our flight plan today will be a pretty important one, but the main point for this flight plan would be, well, our flight. So, our flight plan should be this. Let's open up the map. So, our flight plan will take off from Shenyang. Then we'll go 203 nautical miles to 247-degree heading, fly across the Hula, fly throughout the bay here. We'll fly near Huadao and Chen Huangdao. And then from there, we will go 112 nautical miles in that direction. And we'll head to the city of Tianjin. Tianjin. Then we're going to fly across this river through all this, and we'll head to Beijing Neyron Airport. So that is going to be today's flight plan. Pretty simple flight here today. Pretty simple flight. So today we're going to go ahead and get to the ground. And let's get ready to for our aircraft. And this is a plane we've been taking all throughout our journey today. This is the Yonkers JU-52. We've been taking this plane through the entire journey since the very beginning of our journey here. It's pretty crazy that we took off since January. Not January. December 11th was when we flew this thing, and we took this thing off of Tempelhof Airport. And now it's gone through over 4,900 nautical miles of flight. At least around 4,600 nautical miles of flight throughout Germany, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Belarus, all of Russia, and now we're going to complete the final leg here in China. It's going to be pretty awesome, and I'm very, very excited for this. I really can't wait for it. I think it'll be a really, really fun flight here. So, I mean, once I'm done with this flight, this Yonkers is going to need some time in the hangar to get some power change, fuel change, all sorts of things. It's pretty crazy how much stuff we do need to change here. So let's go ahead and get back to the cockpit. Before we do it, we're going to go ahead and change the fuel. We're going to go full tank. This will be the final leg of the journey. But before we get started, we're going to go through our checklist. But actually, before we even do all this, let's read some bit of our notes. The notes for today's trip. So let's start with the notes. In our notes, they took off here on August 30th. They took off here from Mukden, which is Shenyang. And the weather is good with a following wind. This thing has a bit a tailwind. And since their arrival was scheduled for 1500, they took a somewhat longer route for the coast. So we are going to take off here pretty quickly. So we're going to go ahead and get our checklist. Let's go through every step of this checklist. on throttle idle. And we got that, okay. I'll the controller now for you. We've already got our fuel tank and alternator. Check. Open our wobble tank. Hey, Ali Alshamzai 223. Welcome to the chat. First time chat. Good to have you here. So this is the Berlin to Beijing journey. This is the final leg of the journey. Thank you for coming here today. I'm just getting this Junkers J52 set up. So getting the engine, this is how you start the engine. Okay. Of course. Yep. So if you like this content, don't be afraid to give me a follow if you like what you see. Get right to the engine. Then we pull out the engine. Here's the engine. Hey, Splasher6, good to have you here. I heard you had a great first leg of your Italian journey yesterday. I'm happy that you're finally flying the Arrow. I was kind of the one who suggested for you to take the Arrow for the flight. Because you never really get a chance to actually fly it, and I thought you flying the Arrow would be a good chance for you to get some experience with it. Just join into comparative simulators. Yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator is really nice. Ollie Alshim Ami 223, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I'm very nice about that. I do my best to be nice. Microsoft Flight Simulator is really, really good for the scenery. And this flight, we're going to have some pretty cool scenery with the bay and all that. Run. Turn off fuel pump. Boom. There we go. Engine number 2. Oh, it's selling me on because I'm a DCS pilot. Okay, now DCS, I never played DCS. But DCS has got the best when it terms of military sort of thing. This is more for civilian aviation. The Junkers, at least in Microsoft Flight Simulator, is more for civil aviation. So you're not going to have the same fidelity of military warbirds as DCS, but Microsoft Flight Simulator, though, has better scenery. The scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator is definitely better than DCS. Don't get me wrong, DCS isn't a bad-looking game, but Microsoft Flight Simulator, though, is much more on scenery. So that's just how I am about DCS, though. I don't know too much about DCS because like I said, I'm not that. I never played DCS, so I don't really know. Hey, Jim Fish. Jim Fish. What plane are you in? Well, let me show you the plane I'm in. I'm flying a plane that is known as the Junkers Ju-52. This is a plane I've taken all through the Sundays. So let's go ahead and get this set in. Parking brake. Yes, once they're trim. Okay, we're good. Our safe altitude for today's flight, according to my little nav map, is actually pretty short. Hey, Devil Dude 1 has just followed. Devil Dude, thank you so much for coming here today. I appreciate the follow. Thank you so much for being here. So we're going to, Alec D's with me ahead. So we're going to around 1,500 feet. We don't really need to go very high, actually, today. The elevation should be quite flat, so 1,500 feet. I do want to make an apology for all those in my Discord. Because the U.S. just had a recent daylight schedule change, I forgot to change the time. I bet a few people got confused about me starting at the same time. We're going to go ahead and take off. 92 meters, we're climbing pretty good. Now, one of the things I do like about the Junkers is just the Junker sounds really, really nice. It's got all the authentic German gauges. It's got... That's what I like about flying the Junkers so much. And plus, it's very similar to the actual plane they took for the journey. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. For those who are new, who are brand new here, I'm talking about the Berlin to Beijing flight in 1926. Now, the plane they actually took from here is a G-24, which is an earlier version of the Junkers. It's the earliest evolution of a Ju-52. But since the G-24 is in the sim, we use the Junkers Ju-52. Which is this beauty right here. And this thing wasn't particularly fast. The Junkers J-52 has a faster cruise speed than the G-24's max speed. We did, Dos Lufthansa was the one who actually commissioned this flight back in 1926, which was actually the first year that they were founded. Mainly they were founded because of the lifting of the restriction of commercial air operations by the Treaty of Versailles, and they were one of the first airlines to operate night flights. We took off here from Berlin-Tempelhof, one of the most historic airports in the world, at the time at least. And this was the book that actually gave me the idea for this flight. This was Night Zep, one of the users in my community. He usually joins me on these flights. He did the book I'm Grozon Not Peking in a Big Plane to Beijing. He got this book actually. He was the one who did it, and the reason they did this trip was because they wanted to fast way through Europe and Asia without going through Africa, but the most important reason was because with the Treaty of Versailles, Germany couldn't really be involved elsewhere, but they actually had good relations in the USSR, so that's why they fly through the trip. So we actually, our route took us Berlin to Kongsberg, which is now Kaliningrad, Russia. Then from Kongsberg to Smolensk, we finally entered Russia again, after going through Lithuania and Latvia and Belarus. Then to Moscow, Kazan, Kurgan, Omsk, Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk, Chita, Ulaanbaatar, Harbin, Mukden's Shenyang, and finally we're into Beijing, which is the final leg of the trip. So that's the route for our trip. So how fast? It's good that you're kind. Yeah, that's such a cool plane. It's not the fall, I assume. No, it is not the full Gem Fish. It's one of the Asobo Local Legends plane. It came out during World Update 5 for Germany and all that. And it's for $15 in the marketplace. But it's well worth the $15. It's I think the best Asobo Local Legends plane. And how fast is this plane? This thing can go to a max cruise speed of 135 knots, and top speed can go to 143 knots ollie. It has a range of nearly 600 plus nautical miles. And this thing, despite its size, this thing can actually take off within 1,200 feet. A very impressive performance for a plane the size of Tomo's World. Good to see you. Yes, this is the final leg of the trip. It's pretty crazy. Joining with me today, I have Alec D in the wing. I also have US EPR1. Good to have you here. Yep, this is the final leg. 401 nautical miles here. It's a long leg, but it will be well worth it. Yeah, it's the final leg. It's hard to believe this is already the final leg. Pretty crazy, isn't it? Sponsor 6 can't stay long for this morning. You have a great furniture moving project today. I hope you're feeling all right after you get done with this furniture moving. But thank you, Sponsor 6, for coming by and saying hello. I hope you don't get hurt too much from pushing the furniture. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for being here today for the final leg. So next flight plan is here's the flight plan for today's flight. This is the final leg, Devil Dude. This is the final leg of the trip. It's hard to believe this is already going to be the final leg of the trip. Pretty nuts, I shall say. But I can't believe that this is already the final leg. It's pretty amazing, at least. Now, obviously, do be note the salary day for China isn't exactly the greatest, but for this trip it should be pretty good. I mean, the next trip, okay, after this, my plans is I'm going to do my bush flight series, which is usually on Wednesdays, and I'll be doing those for the next couple Sundays until in the summer. My next journey, let me go ahead and show you. Next, until we get to summer, because my next flight plan is going to feature a flight based on this bird here. Delta Alpha Quebec Uniform India, which is the oldest airworthy Ju-52 in existence. And this was the same plane that was restored by Martin Kaiden in his book, The Saga of Iron Annie. And I'll be doing the recreation flight for it in the summer. It will take us from Opa-locka Airport in Miami, and we go all the way to Hamburg, Germany. That would be my next journey with it. I still need to read the Saga of Iron Annie, so I can talk about his restoration of the plane and talk about what he did for it. Hello, Night Zep. Good to have you here, Zep. It's technically, Zep, it's not really my fault. I blame the daylight savings time. But guys, if you haven't noticed, it's actually Night Zep who actually gave you all the stuff, the notes and everything. It was Night Zep who actually was the one who gave all the information out. So he's the one I give the biggest credit to. Yep. Hard to believe this is already the final leg of the trip. I don't know what the flight route is. Okay, our route. We're flying from Zulu Yankee Yankee Yankee. It's in Shenyang Donggata Airport. Zulu SHD, which is the other airport we're visiting. We fly over that airport for the trip. And then ZBNY is our final airport. So that's the route. Oh yeah, for the Miami to Germany one. They'll go for a few stops. They go for Obalaka, which is... They fly from... Kilo October Papa Foxtrot. We fly into Savannah for that trip. KSAV in Savannah, then to Pittsburgh, then to Bangor, Maine, Goose Bay, Greenland, then to Iceland, Scotland, Liverpool, and then Hamburg. Quite a bit of a journey. Yeah, it's a long one, but it's going to be well worth it, though, and I really wanted to do this journey since it would be a good time for me to take the retrofit Junkers. It would be the retrofit. So yeah, it's going to be pretty epic, and I can't wait for it personally. But yeah, I can't wait for that flight. It's going to be pretty epic, to say for the least. Never really done a transatlantic flight, so this would be somewhat new. So, I'm going to go ahead and talk about... I just installed the Paywar scenery. Oh! I don't have the Paywar scenery. Yeah, Beijing is quite big. If you've never seen the pictures of Beijing, trust me, Beijing's huge. It's massive. So guys, if you didn't know before, I do have a Discord. So if you guys like to keep up with my streams and want to know when I'm streaming, I'm on Discord. And I'm also got also got something in my other platform. The red platform for all my previous VODs are located here as well. Oh, you got the Avia Jam, Beijing landmarks. Well, I didn't get it though. But here's the thing, Zep. The route we're flying today, we're not really flying through downtown Beijing and all that. We don't really have any major monuments in Beijing, so we're not really going to fly over them, though. K-Wart, good to have you here, K-Wart. Welcome. It's good to have you here, K-Wart. It's good to have you here. So yeah, flying with me today, guys. Alec D is here, US APR 1. 9-Zep should be loading in pretty soon. This is the final leg of the trip. This should be a good one here. We got a bit of a tailwind today. The wind is kind of favorable here. Yeah, the Junker. Junker is such a classic, though. You can't go more classic in old school 1930s aviation than this. Sure, the DC-3 also comes to mind, but the Junkers is truly from the 1930s. truly incredible. What's your next stop, sir? My next stop is my closest airport is ZILINY, but our next stop is actually going to be at Zulu Sierra 8 Hotel Delta. We're going to fly over that airport, but it should be the next stop of our journey. So, if you guys don't mind, I have a topic I want to talk about today, and I prepared the slideshow for today. This is part one of the two we're going to talk about, and that's going to be the culture of China. China's culture is extremely diverse. And since ancient times, China's culture has been heavily influenced by Confucianism, which is one of the religions that have been around during the ancient times. For much of the dynastic, and basically China, for most of its era as imperial dynasty, opportunities for social advancement could be provided by high performance in prestigious imperial examinations, which had their origins back in the Han Dynasty. And what those imperial examinations were back in Chinese culture was they examined people in civil services, and they provided candidates for the state bureaucracy. And the way they chose those bureaucrats was by merit rather than birth. But written examinations were not used until the Sung Dynasty, all the way back in the 581. Which is pretty interesting as well. These literary emphasis on these exams affected the general perception of cultural refinement in China, such as the belief in calligraphy, poetry, and painting were higher forms of art than dancing or drama. And Chinese culture has long been emphasized a unique sense of deep history, with a largely inward-looking national perspective. Examinations and a culture of merit remain greatly valued even in today in China, which is pretty cool as well. So that is really cool about the basics of the main Chinese culture. Now, literature in China has had an extremely long history as well. Chinese literature is based on the Zhou dynasty, and a lot of the Chinese classic texts cover a wide range of potential thoughts and subjects: calendar, military, astrology, herbology, geography, and many others. And some of the most important early texts include I Ching and Shui Jing within the 4 books and 5 classics of Confucianism, for the state-sponsored curriculum in the dynastic era. As well, in the wake of the new culture movement after the end of the Qing dynasty, Chinese literature itself embarks on a new era with written vernacular Chinese for ordinary citizens, and various literary genres like poetry, young adult fan fiction, and more have emerged from the Cultural Revolution to redefine Chinese literature for amongst these at the time. Then we have the music of China. Chinese music has had just as long of a history as everything else, but modern-day Chinese music covers a highly diverse range of music, from traditional music to modern music, and it goes all the way back to even the time before the imperial era. Now, there are traditional Chinese instruments. They were traditionally grouped into 8 categories known as bayan. And basically, those bayan contain quite a few instruments, like silk-related instruments. There are all sorts of different silk instruments made from silk. There's also like fiddles and all that. Then there's bamboo-related instruments like flutes. Lots of flute stuff were made of that. And there's wooden instruments like muyu, which is drums, stone, metal, clay, gourd, and hide skin. Those are the 8 traditional instruments. Now, Chinese opera has been going back for over thousands of years as well. And there's all sorts of different opera performances, music, vocal performances, dancing, acrobatics. Opera has been a big part of Chinese folklore for thousands of years. And of course, modern day music, most popular music, was Chinese pop, and it's become very popular in recent times in China. And the final thing as well is sports. So, even today, some villagers celebrate the top scores in imperial exams. Correct. Yep, that's right, a game theorist. They still do it to this day. But it just shows you just how much China's culture is still very deep. And finally, the last is going to be sports. So China, like I said, China has one of the oldest sporting cultures in the world. And there's evidence that archery has been practiced during the Western Zhou dynasty all the way back in 771 BC. Another interesting sport was Suju, was back during the ancient times. And it resembled modern day association football, but it was ancient. Currently as well, physical fitness is still very well known in China and still widely emphasized as well, with modern exercises still being widely practiced, like Qigong and Tai Chi. And there's also a lot of commercial gyms as well. But the most popular spectator sport in China is definitely basketball. After all, China's got 2 really well-known professional basketball leagues. China's got 2 major leagues of basketball: the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association, and of course the American National Basketball Association have a huge following in China, with native Chinese or ethnic Chinese players like Yao Ming and Yi Jilan having high esteem. And if you look at the right, there's Yao Ming. And by the way, if any of you guys know basketball, Yao Ming is the greatest player to come out of China. 7'1". I mean, Yao Ming is just he's a really talented basketball player. I mean, he's 7'6". 7'6". He 8-time NBA All-Star, retired by the Rockets into number 11. He definitely brought a lot of people popularity in China. China also has contributed to the Olympic Games as well since 1992, and only has participated as the People's Republic of China since 1952. And China's actually grown greatly as an Olympic power. In terms of medals, they rank 5th all-time in Olympic medals, with 711 total medals, including 284 gold. But China has greatly increased their gold medal counts over the past century or so, the past 25 years, due to China being on the rise. And China in 2008 hosted the Summer Olympics in Beijing, which is one of the landmarks we're going to be seeing pretty soon. But they also now just hosted the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, making Beijing the first dual Olympic city in the world to host both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games, which is pretty crazy to say for the least. But that's actually going to end part 1. So that's going to end our slideshow for a bit. So this is just the basics of Chinese culture. The reason is that later on we're going to talk about Chinese cuisine, because that Chinese cuisine is extremely diverse. So yeah, that's what we're doing for today's plans. So flying with us today is going to be Alec D. There's Count Zepp behind me. Here's Count Zepp. There's Alec D, Count Zepp. It's good to have you guys here today. Let's go over the two-tone Murphy. Just a nice relaxing flight for today. I'll just be back in 1 second. I need to blow my nose. I'm back. Yeah. So I'm just being the outside view because the anchors are so stable. It's like being on Autopilot. But yeah, the scenery here is much better than the rest of China so far. Like the Sally Day is actually working for the most part. It turns out. So coming up soon, in about, let's see, about 20 nautical miles is going to be, we're flying over a city in China. Fujian is going to be our first major metropolis we're going to fly over. It has a population of over 1 million people. It's the smallest city in the entirety of northeast China. The major attraction here in the beach, there's 2 major attractions on that, is the Shenyang Taiheku State Natural Reserve, which is home to 320 species of animals. And it serves as a breeding ground for a few of the endangered birds, including the red-crowned crane and the Sanders gull. But there's also a Red Sea beach located in here as well. Let's get back to the cockpit. So overall, I hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. For me, I hope you have. I hope you all have a great weekend. For me, this past week, I've been finishing up the leg for this journey. That's really what I've been doing, is been finishing up the journey for today. that's what I've been doing for this whole weekend. Just enjoy my time. And try to work on Sunday's flight plan in Southeast Asia. Probably flying to Laos, most likely. There's been some pretty cool stuff that's been announced for the marketplace. Guess what just came on to Xbox? The Kodiak from Simwork Studio. It's finally on Xbox, which you had a great fight with Kaharia last night. Yeah, she was flying the Spitfire around the world. That's what Kaharia's going to do around the world with the Spitfire. Maybe Viperstrike needs to do something around the world. The question is, what plane should I take for it? Maybe I could take the Twin Otter for around the world? And the Twin Otter? Maybe an ultimate bush trip around the world, land in the small strips. Maybe that might be something I'm doing, because originally I was wanting to do the Junkers around the world, but Angry One Horde just beat me out to it, so I'm probably doing Twin Otter around the world, since I don't think anyone's ever flown Twin Otter around. And that's a plane I'm really grown attached to, the Twin Otter. Kodiak update today. I think they said the update's actually tomorrow and Monday. Hayward. So the Kodiak's going to get updated Monday. That's correct. But it's not getting updated today. It's getting updated tomorrow. I mean, the Kodiak's going to finally get updated. Though I did hear the Kodiak actually has some major issues on Xbox, which is not good. By the way, shouldn't it be sound or music? There is a soundtrack. I keep it. Yeah, I do have a soundtrack. I kept it low. I didn't want it to overbear my voice. There you go, Game Theorist. I didn't want it too loud, though, because I didn't want... But man, what a great flight here. It's look how peaceful this flight is. You know what is so weird? Go ahead, KR. What's kind of weird, to be honest? China looks amazing and runs amazing too. Yeah, China's smooth. Like, there isn't a lot of photogrammetry, so this thing should be pretty smooth. Why though? Well, I got a pretty simple reason, KR. It runs smooth because the data in China, a lot of it is censored by the communist government. I don't have to probably tell you why. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why. That's why China has no photogrammetry. That's by far the simplest reason. Ugh. So we have Alec D9's up still with us. So I'm going exterior view because I want to actually enjoy the scenery for a bit. Hey, Viperstrike, Mechanical Madness. I'm doing quite well, thank you very much. It still looks better than some areas, the photos. Yep, the flight's going well. This is our final leg of the trip, Mechanical Madness. After this, I'm probably going to get back to do some of the bush flight trips, which is group flights. Lego City below. Yeah. Well, it makes sense though. A lot of China, a lot of people in China live in urbanized areas, where they can pack lots of people into a small space. You'd be surprised how many people live in a city like in China. At least it's not melted. True. This keyword. Yeah, at least it's not melted. Did you see that skyscraper in the mountain yesterday? It was so cool. Hey, where was that at, K-Warp? Oh, you were following Gaharia. Yeah, I bet she had a great flight that day. I mean, I still can't believe Allison Johnson was still on. So, if you guys didn't know about Allison Johnson, she was flying all day yesterday. She flew from 9 in the morning Eastern Standard Time where I was at, and she was still on even after I went to bed at around 10:30. She was still on. She had an extremely long flight. I mean, that's pretty crazy. She still had a stupidly long flight. It's nuts. Actually, yeah, yesterday she streamed for 15 hours. It was 16 hours yesterday. It's insane. Get back to the cockpit. Just wanted to show up here. Now we're entering to Liaodong Bay. So we're entering that. So Liaodong Bay is the largest of the three the main bays of the Yellow Sea. Though it's named after the Liaodong Peninsula. So we're now entering the bay, which is located right here, Liaodong Bay. It's quiet, no sound. It's good to have you here, Golden Voice. Oh, my application output. Oh, I can hear you. Okay. Oh, it's my plane. Well, the Yonkers is kind of quiet. That's why you couldn't really hear it very much. But I try to keep the application output down because I don't want the plane sound to overhear my voice sometimes. But it's good to have you here, Golden Voice 2022. Good to have you here. First time in chat. So this is the Berlin to Beijing trip. This is our final leg of the trip. So we're heading to Beijing today for our final leg. We took off from Shenyang and we flew for this journey is taking us over 5,000 nautical miles. We've traveled through Berlin, Kaliningrad, Moscow, Irkutsk, Harbin, Shenyang, and now here in Beijing. So this is the final part, 401 nautical mile journey today. No worries, Gone Voice. So Nights Up says, Allison loves these endless flights. Yeah. My bottom gets sore just thinking about it. Trust me. I still remember the longest flight I ever did for the Berlin-Beijing trip. That was about 5 hours. I can't even imagine doing this for 10 hours. Like, some of the streams, like that Two Cats and Allison have been doing, are just insane. It's nuts how some people do these long flights. So, I do have, like I said earlier, I do have a Discord. Is there jet planes? There are jet planes actually in the sim. There's the F-18 Hornet. If you get the base, you get the F-18 Hornet. There's also the jumbo jets, like the 747, the Airbus A320, and the Boeing 787. And there are also the business jets. The CJ4 for base edition, and the Premium Deluxe is for the Citation Longitude. Devil Dude says, I fly for 200, 400 nautical miles, then land, and then multiple times on a day. Yep. Like in Top Gun movie. Yep. That's correct, Gollum. But the one we're flying today is the Junkers G-52, Gollum. Beautiful German 1930s airliner. And while it may seem a little out of place at first to be in 1926, you gotta realize the actual plane they took, the G-24, is an earlier version of this. It's the G-52 is an evolution of that plane, so it makes sense we carry it. Yeah, that is pretty cool. And there's K-Ward. K-Ward, what are you doing here? Good to have you here. K-Ward ahead. Thanks, Nights Up. There's Alec D with me. Thank you for flying, Alec. Yeah, the data here is not good at all. Have fun. No worries, Gollum. Thank you. Thanks for coming by, and thank you for the follow, Gollum Voice 2022. Thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. Take care, man. Thank you so much for being here. So now we head into the bay. We're going to cruise around 126 knots. We're going to about 130 this time. So increasing to 130 knots. Now here's a feature for a lot of you newer players. This plane does have an autopilot. I just need to set the heading. Okay. We need to set it to 247. Just do this, and this thing actually does have an autopilot. Now do keep in mind though, the autopilot on the Junkers isn't like a lot of other planes. It doesn't exactly keep your altitude, however. So for me, I have to manually do the trim for this thing. Now Dr. Knox was too fast because he was following wind. They took the long way around. Exactly. Going to do, yeah, this is the long one. Yeah, because he had a tailwind. And that's why he went a little faster than he should. Now mind you, we're going to be faster than him because obviously we're in a much faster plane. Yeah, now he said in the notes, now we get into the bay. He said it was very positive about the scenery here, and he called it the most beautiful landscape as they fly over the Gulf, where they serve the black traditional Chinese junk line in the harbor. For this cruise, this is the first encounter of the ocean since Königsberg, which is Kaliningrad, and they fall to the coast. Now I know the sim, it may not look like much. Like I said, China isn't really that well represented in the sim, so... Bing and Google may have okay data for the area. Messy though. Yeah, the area is kind of messy, I would agree. Which is a shame though, because Dr. Robinoff said that this was some of his favorite scenery in the area. Though for me, the highlight of the trip was definitely flying over Lake Baikal. That was the real highlight of the trip so far. So we're gonna fly over Huladao, which is the next thing we gotta talk about. So Huladao is a coastal city located in the southern Liaoning province. Its name literally means Gourd Island. And it's located on the northern shore of the Liaoning Bay, and it's one of the three principal cities of the Liaoxi corridor. It is usually the northeast China's gateway through the Shanghai Pass into North China. The reason it's called Gourd Island is because of the fiddle-shaped contour of the peninsula, and it resembles a ball of gourd, or a calabash, which is grown here in China. It's been settled here since ancient times, and archaeological evidence that indicates that during the Shang and Zhou dynasties, the region enjoyed an advanced Bronze Age technology. Now, this area was occupied in 1906 by the Japanese, and during the second half of the Chinese Civil War, the Chinese Communists and the Kuomintang battled here as well. Jiangsu County was granted city status in 1982, and it was renamed to Huladao itself. Huladao is known for being an extremely city with scenic areas of historical interest, including an old town that's preserved for the Ming Dynasty, with its original walls intact and everything. Yeah, he calls it the Chinese Riviera. That's correct. In addition to boasting a long coastline, the coast off of this place is rich with fish, shrimp, and plenty of reserves of natural gas and oil, making Huladao quite a unique coastal city. And Nas calls it the Chinese Riviera. You definitely see why. It's definitely very beautiful here with the hills and everything. You definitely see why. Off the autopilot. definitely the coast, the bay looks absolutely beautiful here. The water is nice, nice blue, nice shade of blue here. Absolutely beautiful. So we're getting around, we're about halfway to, we're about 75 nautical miles from our first airport we're going to pass over. So I've also been doing pretty good today as well. I've been part of doing those two-tone Murphy challenges, and now I'm leaning 4 of the 5 challenges now, which is insane. 4 of the 5 challenges I'm now leading, so that's what I've done, and then I'm also probably in the lead for the screenshot challenge. Hey, Dougal McTavish, good to have you here. And friends all, good to see you both here. Outstanding work. Yeah, this is the final leg of the journey. I'm so happy to finally get this over. But yeah, I can't believe this Yonkers is flying over 5,000 nautical miles. Almost no sim sounds. Well, you can blame the Ju-52 for it. Can you now hear it now on Dougal? I had to turn down the volume originally on my normal speaker settings because I didn't want it to override my voice, if you know what I mean. Because sometimes the speaker up here isn't exactly the greatest. So a true travel veteran appreciates travel, but a realistic level of glamour expectations. Yep. Can we take a look at the right passenger seat? Let's go ahead and do that, shall we? So this is the right passenger seat. This is the second pilot is here. So we can take a look from the right seat. Look at this. We got some hills over here. Definitely reminds me. I can definitely see why it reminded Nos of Italy. Whoops. So this is the right side from the passenger. How in the business section? Well, unfortunately, there's this thing in the way. But if you want to look at the business section, I'll go ahead and put the showcase. Yeah. Since this is a 1930s airliner, so this is the business section. So you can definitely see here, you can definitely put 17 guests. Now, mind you, this isn't the big old business jets back in the day, mind you. It could fit like dozens of people, or the double-decker 747 that can fit a ton of people. This is a Yonkers. How do you go in free cam? Okay, let me show you your free cam. It says Ouija. So in our settings, here's normally you do camera. Then currently I'm in cockpit, so you want to go to the showcase camera right here. Activate this, and you're now in showcase. And this turns it into drone mode. And in drone mode, we can go around and we can look at all the camera. Now, if you're on Xbox, there's actually a shortcut to it. You press the function key and F12. Doing that will give you straight into the showcase camera without having to access the menu. And from here, and from the drone cam, you can do all sorts of unique shots for pictures, screenshots. You can get really cool views of parts of the plane you don't usually get to see very often from the cockpit, like right here. That's how you activate the camera, and that's how you get this thing to work. So I think that should probably solve your question there, Ouija. I think that's how you get. Thank you. No worries. I'm happy to help. Like I said, if you guys have any questions about Sim, I can answer your questions. I'm more than happy to help you out. So we're now flying across the coast, and I don't think I should be that part of the coast, but in Xbox. Oh yeah, and of course you can always use an Xbox controller too. So if you're on Xbox, the Xbox controller is actually really good at controlling the drone cam. You can always use an Xbox controller as well. An Xbox controller might be even better for the camera than a keyboard. But for me, I've used the keyboard for so long that I'm kind of new to it. So guys, I do have a Discord. I posted my Discord link a little earlier, so you can check out my Discord to get the following of my latest flight plans and news. So that way guys can caught up in all the flights that I do on the channel. Include my bush flight trips on Wednesdays. I do those as well. But definitely very scenic environment here today. Just gonna go back out to the showcase. You can see quite a few little airports here. A lot of these are airbase airports based on the Chinese Sea, I believe. A lot of these are military airports. Oh, you sent me a DM. Okay, go ahead. Hey, good morning there to Snackless Kerbal. Good to have you here, Snackless Kerbal. Thank you for coming here to the channel. This is the final leg of the Berlin-Beijing trip. We took off from Shenyang earlier today, and we're now flying to Beijing. Here's our trip. Snackles, Kerbal, thank you for the follow. So we're following this. We took off from Shenyang. Then we're visiting to Liaodong Bay. Fly over that for a bit. We're going to fly over Shanghai Airport, right near Qinhuangdao. Then we go all the way to Tianjin, and we go up to Beijing. That's going to be our route for today. Alaska 559, good morning, Alaska. Let me give a shout out to Alaska 559. Awesome flight simmer. He may be 17, but let me tell you, the passion he brings to a lot of the airliners is unbelievable. So much energy. It's chaotic, but he is the fun, chaotic guy. So, thanks for coming here, Alaska. I really appreciate it. A couple more shout-outs. First to K-Warp. He actually streams here too on Twitch. Good friend to the channel as well. And I know he was here earlier, but you guys should definitely check out Splasher6. He wasn't here earlier, but I hope you guys check him out. Splasher6 is one of the closest friends to the channel. He has been part of my channel, supporting it since the very beginning of my streams all the way back in May. Awesome dude. Huge supporter. And of course, there is one more shout out I want to give. Even though he doesn't stream on Twitch, I have to give Nights Up a shout out. He's the whole reason this journey even was possible, so Nights Up, you're getting a shout out even though you don't stream. No worries, Alaska, you're more than welcome. So yeah, I'm in the beautiful Yonkers, Alaska. If you were talking about 1930s airliners, you definitely want to fly the Yonkers. If this was Alaska in the 1930s, you'd probably be flying this quite a bit, since this is an airliner, mind you. But it's beautiful here, and the scenery looks absolutely great here. The day is actually working here, and I can definitely see why this reminds him of Italy quite a bit, the Riviera. I can definitely see why it reminds him of that. Yeah, Yonkers is lovely. Yonkers is my favorite plane in the sim. It's my go-to. If I want to do sightseeing, this plane's great for it because it's just smooth. You don't need autopilot to keep it smooth. Thank you. I hope there are no followers, though. No. But for Nights Up, I wanted to give you a shout out just because... No, you're the whole reason our journey... No. Man, I can't believe this. I remember when I took off back in December 11th, I had 193 followers. And now, thanks to all the great people here who came to my streams throughout the entire week, I now have 315 followers. That's insane. My channel's grown so much over the past 3 months of December, January, February, and March. For nearly 4 months, my channel's grown so much. It's unbelievable how much it's grown. Viper, did you see how Ali streamed? It was nearly 16 hours, Dougal. It was nearly a 16-hour stream. Like, to put this perspective, guys, okay? I woke up at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. She went through nearly 16 hours. She was still going even when I was in bed. And trust me, I was in the United States of America. Do you want screenshots in chat? I have DC6 screenshots. No, but here's actually a good place I do recommend you doing this. It's my Discord. I have my own Discord snack list, Kerbal, and you could share all your DC6 screenshots. You could put them all in my Discord if you want. Just under the Flight Sim photo section. You can put as many of them as you want. Just don't be afraid to enter my Discord, alright? Plus, the Discord's also a great way. Oh, let me go ahead and update my Discord. Right. Oh, the link's invalid. Okay, guys. If you want, I updated my Discord, so press the link and you guys can join my Discord now. I also have a YouTube as well, so you guys can freely check out my content on both platforms. Ah, you made it snackless. Awesome. And guys, I also have a YouTube channel too, so I have this is where I put my previous VODs. So I usually do that as well. Now, the next place we're going to be visiting is a place called Qinhuangdao. Similar to Huladao, it is a port city in China. It's in northern Hebei province. It has a population of around 3,136,879 people. It's the innermost gulf of the Yellow Sea, and the city's name means Chen Emperor Island, which was named after the founder of the Chen Dynasty and the first emperor of a unified China. And he ruled from 221 to 210 BCE. And the name itself originated from a legend that the scenic area was the site of the first emperor's famous ritual during his fourth and final survey tour of the East. Now, this area used to be a small offshore island until the late Qing Dynasty dumped dredged silt and joined it to the mainland as well. In both areas during the time of Tongkang and Qinhuangdao were both stationed alongside the Peking-Mukden Railway, which is mostly a railway we're going to be following as well. Now the economic potential of this port is extremely important, as Qinhuangdao port is the largest coal shipping port in the entire country, and they usually ship it to places elsewhere in China. And that's because China is the world's third largest coal exporter. So that's why it's pretty important. So that's going to be Qinhuangdao. It also has the Quandai Wildlife Park, the second largest wildlife park in all of China. So that's where we're going to be here. That's Qinhuangdao. Oh, something about old radio airliners just makes me so happy. It is. It's an old vintage airliner. I mean, the J-52 makes me so happy that, okay, let me show you actually what's the inspiration behind this flight. Let me go back to the beginning. I'm more than happy to show you guys. So this flight is the Yonkers G-24. Now, guys, this is what the original plane they took. So back in the 1920s, this is the plane they took. This happened during 1926. Let me turn down this music for a bit. So they took the G-24 plane. It's like the Yonkers J-52 in the sim. It is a tri-engine, low-wing monoplane. But it only went to a max speed of 110 miles knots, and it had a range of 360 nautical miles. Which is why we're using the Yonkers J-52, since, well, we don't have the G-24. But the main inspiration of this flight, the people who done it was Deutsche Lufthansa. They were founded in the same year, and they also were known for doing night flights. And one of the guys working was Dr. Robert Noss. So here it is. Here's his book. Knights Up was the guy who I give credit to, since he was the one who actually found it. And the term really means in a big plane to Beijing. Since Rob means big. Luxon is plane. Knock is to, and Peking's Beijing. The reason they did this trip, Snackless, is because they wanted a faster route from Europe to Asia without having to go through Africa and the Middle East. But the main reason was because of the Treaty of Versailles. Germany didn't have exactly the great relations with the West, but ironically at the time, they actually had decent relations with the USSR. So, the USSR and German aviation agreed to it, and they flew through the interior of the USSR. And the route takes us from Berlin, Königsberg, Smolensk, Moscow, Kazan, Kurgan, Omsk, Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk, Chita, then into Manchuria, into Harbin, Mukden, which is Shenyang, and then finally to Beijing. So that's going to be our route. And Nightsep is actually the one who helped with the flight. And he could probably help you with any more questions with it, since he has the book. And I do have notes. If you guys want me to and want to recreate the flight, I think later today I may post all the notes, and you guys can actually look at this sort of stuff on the Discord, which is pretty cool. So we're going to circle around the airport, because there's actually a German community in this airport as well. But yeah, it's very interesting. This journey is extremely interesting. At first glance, I thought it'd be boring to fly through Russia. And while yes, the scenery is there in Russia, the later half of the journey, though, was much better, because if you guys don't mind, let me show you the whole flight plan. So let me show you what the actual route of the flight did, guys. So here it is. I'm sorry if this is going to block half the screen. Okay. So our flew, we took off from Berlin. So the route that he took through this, the one in the picture was actually the simplified route, but this is the actual thing they took when he first did this flight for the notes for the first time. To Gdansk, Kaliningrad, all the way through Latvia, Belarus, then we hit to Moscow, then all the way to Kazan. We threw quite a few. Then to Kurgan, flying through Yekaterinburg. Then we flew a little bit into Kazakhstan, to Omsk, Then we flew to Novosibirsk. Then there's Krasnoyarsk, and then we flew all the way down over here to Irkutsk, right on the banks of Lake Baikal. Then we flew a little bit over Baikal. And if you guys don't know, Baikal is a massive lake. It's larger than the country of Belgium. Then into Shita. Then into Manzhouli. Then to Harbin, Chengkung, Shenyang, and then now we're going back to our route to Beijing. So that's all the flight plan. When did you start? Well, I started back on December 11th, 2021. I started on December 11th, 2021. So I started all the way back in December 11, 2021. I started at Berlin-Tempelhof. Now, it wasn't there initially when I got the sim, so I had to actually download a mod that let me fly from the airport because, I mean, you're Berlin, you need to fly off of Tempelhof. And it's been going for 5,000 nautical miles. It's insane just how much of a trip I managed to complete. It's pretty insane. So flying with me today is K-Wart, Count Zepp, Alec D, and yes, that's Dougal in the Spitfire. Dougal McTavish is in the Spit. It's great to have you here, Dougal. I wasn't expecting it. Huge trip. It is. It's huge. Yeah, after this, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off to do some simple bush flights, as usual. And then in the summer, probably in May or early June, I'm going to do the Delta Alpha Quebec Uniform India restoration flight of 1984, when Lufthansa engineers bought the plane, and they flew it from Opa-locka Airport near Miami, and they flew through Savannah, Georgia, Pittsburgh, Bangor, Maine, Goose Bay, Greenland, Iceland, Scotland, Liverpool, and all the way to Hamburg, Germany, in the retrofit JU-52, in the retrofit Junkers. Since I took the normal one for the Berlin-Beijing trip. That's going to be my first transatlantic flight, which is going to be pretty cool. I see another Spit. Oh, there's Mongo and Mart. Oh, I did say you guys in the back. Mart362, good to have you here. Kate and Mongo and the Twin Otter. Awesome to have you guys here today. Wow. What a reception here, guys. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Oh, Snacks Kerbal, those are some really awesome pictures. Oh, that's going to be cool. You're flying the DC-6 all the way to Hawaii from New Zealand. Oh, you're flying from Hawaii to New Zealand. Oh, that's going to be a pretty nice flight. Yeah, I love the DC-6. I need to take it back in the air at some point. It's just, I haven't found many opportunities to fly the DC-6 again. I'll think of something with the DC-6 soon. Maybe a DC-6 flight over... Probably think of something with the DC-6. Maybe a DC-6 flight over China, maybe. I don't know. But it's great to have all you guys here. Thank you so much for being here, guys. But yeah, it's beautiful here today. You from Hawaii to Fairfield to New Zealand. So from San Francisco to Hawaii to Balo, I believe, isn't that in Fiji, maybe? Balo? So here is Shandong Cuisine Airport. We're going to go ahead and circle around a little bit, because that's what the notes from Dr. Robin Oss said. So there's the airport. I'm ferrying my bush plans to meet with a group flight next week. Oh, that's awesome, Snackless Curveball. That sounds amazing. So we're only now 202 nautical miles away from the end of this journey. Can't believe we're nearly done with this. This is just... They're doing an expedition in New Zealand. Oh yeah, New Zealand's wonderful to fly over. I flew over there 2 weeks ago. New Zealand is absolutely stunning. Especially the South Island is especially stunning. Alec D, enjoy the rest of the flight. Thank you for coming here today, Alec D. Thanks for coming on my flight today. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much, Alec. Take care, Alec, and see you later. So we're actually going to fly, not at the airport, we're actually going to fly over Beidai, and we're going to circle around for a bit. I usually pick classical music just because for these flights because, like I said, it's kind of old school. There's moving it down. There's downtown. This is the port city. Oh, and Mongo's in the Discord too. Mongo's here. Wow, so many awesome people. I mean, this is just amazing. The final leg of a journey. This is just leveled off. Eight and a half hours to go. Well, I mean, you're going to be in the DCC. Oh my goodness, look at Dougal and Mart. You guys are... Wow, the formation flying. That's awesome. Here's the thing. I tried to actually do formation flying with the Thunderflies, the former Thunderflies, now the Shadow Slate team. I could never get good with it. I did do it once at a 339 with them on one of the Murph streams. I could never get quite good enough with it. Formation flying's not for me. Trust me, formation flying is very difficult. The DC-6 I'm flying is a custom livery I made, meaning the Spirit of Endurance after Ernest Shackleton's ship. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hence the Southern Cross, and that's awesome. Oh yeah, Ernest Shackleton. He was actually one of the explorers for the Antarctic, I believe. He was one of the three British. He led one of the 3 British expeditions to the Antarctic. It's Martin doing all the work. I'm on Oh, Dougal. Hey, don't put yourself down. Hey, don't put yourself down, Dougal. Oh, they found the ship recently. Ah, they did. The loss of endurance. Yeah, they found it just a couple days ago. The ship loss of endurance. It was 4 miles from where it was lost, 10,000 feet below the surface. Yeah, Shotgun's story is pretty amazing. I've been looking at that, and yeah, his story is pretty epic. Sending off a tiny boat to help a whaling station to get help. Yeah, those voyages were extremely dangerous, by the way, because the Antarctic Ocean is known to have some very violent seas, so it was not easy. Ghost Flyer, Ghost Flyer 71, welcome to the chat, Ghost Flyer. It's good to have you here. I picked up the Fly Somewhere Grumman Widgeon and the Twin Otter. Love them both. Now, I haven't got the Widgeon, but I do really like the Twin Otter. The Twin Otter and Kodiaker are both amazing. I haven't gotten the Widgeon, though. I probably should get the Widgeon at some point. Now, I'm a big fan of the flying boats. But yeah. But it's great to have you, Ghost Flyer. I'm flying another vintage plane. From a similar era to the Widgeon. The Yonkers J52 and Ghost Flyer, thank you for the chat, for the follow. Good to have you here, Ghost Flyer. Yeah, this is the Yonkers J52 from Asobo. And I gotta say, they did a marvelous job with the plane. It's a marvelous bird. Flies amazing. Comes with multiple versions. And of course, it's German. So it's definitely an uber plane. Get it, Uber. And look at Dougal and Mart. We're gonna circle around this area for a bit as we visit the German community living there, the local German community. Yeah, there have been Germans who lived in China. A lot of them lived because Germany was one of the nations part of all the stuff in China during that time, along with Britain, France, Italy, Austria-Hungary, and even the United States and Russia during the fall of the Qing Dynasty. I can't between if I like the Electra or the Junkers. I haven't got the Electra, but if I had to pick, I'm still sticking with the Junkers. Yes, the Electra might actually have Jerry, the Autopilot, and deliveries, but the sounds on the Electra are not great, and the airplane having Electras had more than a few issues, whereas the Junkers haven't really had very many issues. Like I said, the Junkers I haven't had to find many issues with it. Okay, maybe the only issue is the autopilot sometimes doesn't exactly stay on. But this plane's still stable. You don't really need the autopilot, so... So my pick, I think the Junkers is probably the better of the two. I'm not mocking the Electra, I'm just saying the Junkers is definitely a better plane. But wow, so many new falls today. This has been very impressive. Yeah, the Junkers is definitely much higher quality. And here's the thing. This plane's quality is way higher than the Electra. No offense to the Electra, but this is better. And here's the thing. This is half the price of the Electra, by the way. The Electra, it's around $30. The Junkers is only $15, and not only does it have a better, now it looks better, but you get more versions of it. You get the floats, skis, and even a modernized retrofit version with modern avionics and such. And it's half the price. It's half the price. It's unbeatable in value. Plus, it flies far better than the Electra. It flies really, really good. The only reason that I would even think about buying the Electra is because of Allison Johnson's Amelia Earhart flight. But yeah, the quality of Junkers is just way better. I quite like the Electra. It's easier to fly, but the Junkers is just better quality. It is. The Junkers is just... The quality of the Junkers, though, for a $15 plane is amazing. I mean, all of this is in great detail. Like, all the different gauges is in great detail. All the different comms. There's a lot of details in this that you don't really get for a plane for its price tag, which is just... I mean, here's the flap and trim thing. There's the trim. These little things is the oil gauge. This is the mid-engine oil. The engine number 1, engine 2, and engine number 3. Just like in the real Junkers. Very impressive, very impressive. So I'm going to go ahead and turn down the music, guys. I'm going to talk about the next most important thing for my slideshow. And this is going to be the main topic, actually. This is part 1 of 2 of the main topic. And by the way, after this flight's over, I also got my slideshows for all you guys to look at. But it is Chinese cuisine. However, nothing in my book beats a DC-6. Yeah, DC-6 quality-wise. DC-6 quality is unbelievable. That's the whole reason I'm probably not playing the DC-6 so much. It puts every other add-on to shame. DC-6 is really good. It's a shame, though, that the marketplace version for Xbox isn't working. It's a shame, though. For some reason, a lot of the big planes in the marketplace aren't doing so well, which is a big shame. But now let's talk about the main topic for today. And this is Chinese cuisine. Chinese cuisine, very important part of Chinese culture. Cuisine plays a huge part in the culture of China. And Chinese culture is unique because a lot of the food is derived from many different areas of China. And due to its large diaspora and power of China, it is influenced many other cuisines in Asia and beyond, with some modifications made for local cuisines of the areas. They include food. There's also been There's also been different preferences for seasoning cooking based on the differences in historical background ethnic groups all over China. This means different locations and scenery as well. For example, one region of China, for example, would have a very different style cuisine compared to another region of China. Now, color, smell, and taste are the three traditional aspects that describe Chinese food, along with meaning, appearance, and nutrition as well. And the history of Chinese cuisine goes way back to before the Tang Dynasty as well. The Tang Dynasty valued gastronomy and extensive based on traditional medicine beliefs, making Chinese cuisine very unique. And all that sort of stuff. But the main thing we're going to talk about is the regional cuisine in this part. Now, there are 8 great traditions in Chinese cuisine. And those 8 great traditions, which is the extension of the 4 great traditions as well, include Cantonese Cuisine, Sichuan Cuisine, Anhui Cuisine, Shandong, Fujian, Jiangsu, Hunan, and Zhejiang. There are other types of cuisine in Chinese, but we're going to talk about the 8 great traditions of Chinese cuisine. And these are found in different provinces all throughout China. And a number of different styles are very influential in Chinese cuisine. And sometimes one of these cuisines is different than all of the others. So let's start with, I think, for many people who think what is Chinese cuisine, most of you guys actually are exposed to Cantonese cuisine. Now, Cantonese cuisine, or the Yu cuisine, is the cuisine of the Guangdong province, particularly Guangzhou, in the surrounding areas of the Pearl River Delta, including Hong Kong and Macau. Now, strictly speaking, this cuisine is usually of Guangzhou, but includes cooking styles of all the speakers of the Yu Chinese language. And due to the large presence of immigrants from the Cantonese area, this is the most well-known cuisine in all of Chinese cuisine in the West. Until the late 20th century, most of the Chinese restaurants in the West served Cantonese food. Now, the background of these kind of foods is that a Cantonese dish incorporates pork, beef, chicken, and also all sorts of other edible meats, like duck's tongue, frog legs, snakes, and snails. And they often cook with steaming and stir frying being the most favorite due to convenience. But they also include shallow frying, braising, and deep frying. Compared to other regional cuisines, Cantonese dishes should be well balanced and not greasy, but spices must be used in modest amount to not overwhelm the primary ingredients. And of course, the ingredients should be to pick up their freshness and quality. Now, they make all sorts of different kinds of food, like sauce and condiments, but they usually make all sorts of different ingredients. So basically, that is going to be Cantonese. Now, some of the most iconic Cantonese dishes. How about the first one? How about roast duck, aka Peking duck? A classic Cantonese dish. It's originally from Beijing. It's prepared since the Imperial era. The meat is characterized as thin with a crispy skin, and they are often eaten with spring onion, cucumber, and sweet bean sauce. But this duck is extremely well known in Beijing. And it's usually carved in front of the guest. And they did it with rotisserie style with hardwood and closed ovens. But it's a classic duck dish. The next dish is going to be the good old Wonton Noodles. Now those dishes have been, they were given their name back in the Tang Dynasty, but wonton noodles have been so popular in China that they've spread all over Asia, including Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. and such, and they usually serve in steaming hot soup with shrimp, wontons, and garnished with leafy vegetables. But it's very popular as well. And the final one is actually a delicacy of the Cantonese, but there's way more dishes for it. There's quite a bit of delicacies, but there's one delicacy that is very special. It's bird nest soup, edible bird nest. And in China, they actually use this as a soup. And the reason I want to mention this is because this is actually one of the world's most expensive animal products that humans can actually consume. They're around $3,000 per pound or $6,600 per kilogram, depending on the grade. And basically, these bird nests are made from the solidified saliva of edible nest swiftlets. And in order to harvest them, people have to actually climb into the caves. And people had to actually climb up the caves, which is extremely dangerous, by the way. And they had to actually clean it up. But the reason people actually eat these bird nests is for health benefits, including protein and the traditional health benefits of it for that. That's why people usually eat them, and the highest market is pretty expensive. Oh, love a good Peking duck. Yeah, the classic dish of Beijing. Whoa, whoa. I need to get back. I'm way off. I went to the coast. I should be. Whoa, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm way off. See, this is one of the reasons I don't have Autopilot. I'm going to have to make a course correction. Okay. Like sausage, may not be better to know how it's made. Yeah. Bird's nest. Okay, so this is Cantonese cuisine. The next one is Sichuan. Now, this one's on a completely different end of the spectrum, but Sichuan Cuisine is from the Sichuan province, or southwest China. But the thing they're most well known for is their bold flavor. And mainly the pungency and spiciness of their foods, because they actually use a liberal amount of garlic and chili peppers on their food, particularly the Sichuan pepper, which is very unique to this area. And there's local variations of this cuisine all throughout the area until 1997. In fact, Chengdu, the major city where this is from, was declared by UNESCO to be a city of gastronomy in 2011. Now, the history of this cuisine goes back to the Middle Ages, when broad bean sesame and walnuts were introduced from the Middle East. And since the 16th century, they actually grown to have even more crops, including the chili pepper, which came from Mexico, and probably overland from India, along with corn, which replaced millet, and potatoes, and sweet potatoes as well. And Sichuan is also known as the heavily capped country due to its abundance of food. So, the main thing that Sichuan cuisine is known for is that a lot of the food here is pickled, salted, or dried. Preserved dishes are generally served as spicy dishes with the heavy application of chili oil. But who can forget about the Sichuan pepper, or the peppercorn? Sichuan peppercorn is unique for its intense, fragrant, citrus-like flavor, and it produces a tingly, numbing sensation in the mouth. And they also use garlic, chili peppers, ginger, and star anise are all other spices used. And of course, they're also one of the other famous seasonings. The broad bean chili sauce was made here, and they use it as a seasoning for some of their most famous dishes as well. And they often include, hey Jojo One, good to have you here. Be right back, gonna get noodles. Doing a Murph. Yeah. Good to have you here, Jojo. Good to have you here. So some notable dishes include the hot and sour noodles, which is made with the ingredients of brassica junica, stir-fried shredded meat, noodles, and broth. Then there's mapu dufu, known as Pakmore Granny's Tofu, which basically, for those who don't know, it's made with tofu, duban, which is fermented chili paste, broad bean and chili paste, and dochi, which is fermented black beans, along with minced meat with beef. So it's a tofu dish, but they spice it up with beans, green chili paste, with beans and such, with meat. Now, tofu is actually made of soybeans, for all those guys who aren't aware. Hey, Phlox, good to have you here. Just a quick shout out to Foxtrot, another close friend of the community. Hello, Phlox. We're talking about Chinese cuisine today. As well. And finally, the last unique dish for Chinese is probably the most iconic dish in all of Sichuan, the hot pot. Sichuan hot pot, though, is the most famous hot pot in all Sichuan, particularly the Chongqing hot pot as well. And they can get really spicy hot pot. So the way they usually cook food in these hot pots is they put the food into the hot pot, wait for the food to cook, and then when the food is ready, they dip them in sesame oil and eat them. And people can eat all sorts of food: pork, beef, chicken, sausages, beef strips, and other stuff too. And the history of that dish came to the 1920s. And it represented a unique culture of Chongqing in Sichuan. Very unique culture. But yeah, these hot pots have been a huge part of the culture in Sichuan. No problem. Yeah. There's so many things about Chinese food. I love Chinese food. I love the Asian foods. They're delicious. I want to try the authentic stuff too. So this is Sichuan. And this here is a hot pot. This is one of the hot pots they have here. I'm going to go ahead and put more on the screen so you guys can actually see. Okay, the next one afterwards is there's Martin Dougal again, showing off their great skills. Now this is Anhui Cuisine. Now, Anhui Cuisine is derived from the Hansha mountain regions of China. It's similar to another cuisine known as Now, Anhui cuisine, or known as Hui, uses a lot of wild herbs from both land and the sea. And they often use braising or stewing. Braising, for those who don't know, is a combination of wet and dry heats. They also use fry and stir frying are used, but less frequently. They consist of 3 styles from the Yangtze River, Huai region, and southern Anhui region as well. And of course, the cuisine is also heavily associated with tofu, as Chinese folklore credited the creation of tofu came from this area. And according to one of the Chinese legends, stinky tofu was actually created by a scholar, Wang Xinli, who sold his product to make a living after failing the imperial examination. So tofu is a huge deal in this one. And obviously, their most notable dish is the Four Seasons tofu, also known as the Bohong Stinky Tofu, which is a traditional local snack here. Stinky tofu basically is and they prepare it for all throughout Asia. It's quite well known in Asia, particularly in China and Taiwan. And they often put lots of spices on their tofu and such. Well, pretty interesting. They also make chop suey, a popular dish named Lei Hangzong, which is a prominent King Qing dynasty from the province. This soup contains a taste of salty with sweetness, and they often use foods like sea cucumber, fish, squid, bamboo, dried bean curd, chicken, ham, and assorted vegetables. It's called chop suey. And finally, Wuxan Imperial Goose, which goes back to the Tang Dynasty. And goose is basically like duck, but it's got a bit of a different taste. It's fragrant and with salty, with this fragrant, salty taste. So, definitely something like that. The next one, then we get to Shandong Cuisine. Shandong. Shandong Cuisine is known as Lu Cuisine. However, it's actually one of the most important cuisines in Chinese culture. As Shandong Cuisine is actually one of the older cuisine. It's famous for its wide selection of material and use of different cooking methods. They use all sorts of foods as well. There's two main styles of Shandong cuisine. Jiangsu style, which incorporates dishes from the eastern Shandong region. And that's characterized by seafood dishes, and Jian style, which uses soup. A lot of soups are known for. Now, this food is known for its light aroma, freshness, and rich taste. And it puts an emphasis on two types of broth, either light or milky. Light broth and milky broths. Both are seasoned with scallions that go with the freshness of seafood. But they also use other ingredients too, like maize, peanuts, grains, and staple vegetables. Now, while this cuisine has had less available in overseas Chinese restaurants, in the mainland, it's actually one of the most influential schools of Chinese cuisine. Most of the country's culinary styles have been developed from it, including in North China like Beijing and Tianjin, and they have been around during the Yuan dynasty. A well-known notable dish includes braised spare ribs, sweet potatoes with caramelized sugars, and braised chicken. I like good old Taco Bell. Yeah, Taco Bell's not bad, though the only issue with Taco Bell is you're gonna have to worry about going to the restroom if you. Go number 2. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this thing family friendly. Then we get to Fujon Cuisine. So, Fujian Cuisine is well known for being in the mountainous terrain. Now, it is one of the native cuisines from the Fujian province, mainly the capital of Fuzhou, located in southeast China. It's known for its flavorful, soft, and tender flavors, particularly on a taste known as umami. Umami taste is savoriness. It's one of the 5 basic tastes. And known as Chinese cuisine as jianwei, as well as retain the original flavor of the main ingredients. Mainly, they use seafood and woodland delicacies, like local fish, shellfish, and turtles. Or they use edible mushrooms and bamboo shoots. And the most common cuisine include braising, stewing, steaming, and boiling. Of course, one of the most popular seasonings they use is fermented fish sauce. Or fish sauce, basically. Are used in the cuisine along with oyster, crab, and shrimps. They also use peanuts, can be prevalent too, as a garnish. And in fact, Fujian cuisine has a profound impact not in mainland China, but also on Taiwan. This one here contains a Fujian broth soup, which is actually one of the pictures. Now, the most famous dish, though, is Buddha jumps over the wall. It's also known in Chinese as is known as Foti Tao Kueh. Now, this is the most famous dish in the region. And this is actually a shark fin soup. And it goes all the way back to the Qing Dynasty back in the time. And it's a Chinese delicacy known for its rich taste and special manner of cooking. And it contains a lot of ingredients. 30 different ingredients they use for the soup. Shark fins, abalone, sea slug, dried scallops, duck, chicken breast, pig's feet, mushrooms, pigeon eggs, and other ingredients. A legend is that after the dish is cooked, the aroma lingers, and upon detecting the smell, a Buddhist monk forgot his vow to be a vegetarian and left over the wall to taste the dish, which is what gained the name Buddha Jumps Over the Wall. It is high in protein and calcium, and is one of the state banquet dishes of China. However, the issue is the sustainability and welfare of the sharks because of the shark fins. So they led to modified versions of it that without shark fins as an ingredient. I got teriyaki now, didn't have any Chinese. No worries. But yeah, that's a very interesting dish, to say for the least. In addition to this, they also make Neo Hangang, which is a fried roll in a spice powder filled with minced pork and vegetables. This is basically like fried, it's like fried spring rolls, basically. And then finally, the last is gua bao, which is pork belly buns. Are also well-known dishes here too. In addition, they also make oyster omelets, which is they make a normal omelet, but they fill it with oyster, which is definitely pretty interesting. And they also make bone meat tea as well, meat bone tea. Well, they make quite a few really cool delicacies here. I got 3 main Chinese cuisines left to go before we take a break. Next is Jiangsu Cuisine, known as Su Cuisine. It's derived from the Jiangsu province, located in East Cultural Central region of province, which is where Shanghai is from. From around, so right near Shanghai. Now, now in general, the version of this culture is characterized by soft texture, but not mushy or falling apart. It also focuses on the heat and temperature of the food. For example, the meat tastes quite soft, but it will not separate from the bone when picked up. And since it's often practiced near the sea, fish is a very common ingredient in the food. And also, Jiangsu Cuisine focuses on strict selection of ingredients according to the seasons, with emphasis on matching color and shape. There are actually several major sub-regional styles of Jiangsu cuisine. Tianjin cuisine style, which emphasizes even tasting colors. Suzhou, which is selection of ingredients. Wuxi means fresh water. And finally, Nantong, which is the flavor and freshness of the ingredients. And some very famous cuisines in the Wuxi style include Xiao Longbao, which is steamed buns, basically. It's referred to as a dumpling, but it's actually a Chinese dumpling, a steamed bun. And braised spare ribs are another part of their cuisine, and Chinese carp soup, which is made of Chinese carp. Then there's Hunan Cuisine. I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. Now, like Sichuan, hot spicy flavors, very much so, just like Sichuan. And final, with fresh aroma and deep colors. They often use stewing, frying, pot roasting, and smoking. They're made usually in the Hunan province of China. And it goes all the way back to the 17th century of the history of cooking skills. And the first mention of chili peppers in there were dated to 1684. And it consisted of 3 different styles from the different areas of the cuisine. And some well-known dishes include fried chicken with Sichuan spicy sauce. They also made Mao's braised pork. Now, originally it was known as red braised pork belly, or Hong Shao Rou. But the reason it's called Mao's braised pork was because It's often said to be one of Chairman Mao Zedong's favorite dishes, and served in many Hunan restaurants across China called Mao-style cuisine. So that's why they call it Mao's braised pork, because Mao Zedong used it. Then, how about another really unique dish only found here in the region? Yongfang chili sauce. Developed in the Yongfei, in the city of Yongfei in Shandong County. It's a geographical indication product. It's made from chili that's local in the area. Glutinous rice, wheat, soybeans, and salt. And they prepare by boiling, grinding, mixing, fermenting, and aging. And it produces a dark red, spicy sauce. And they've made this sauce ever since the Ming Dynasty. And the sauce has been made there for over 300 years. And in fact, according to a government report in 2000, they sold for nearly 100 million yuan for profits. And in terms of profits, they made over $4 billion US shipping this stuff all across China. Which is pretty insane. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Which is pretty cool. It's chili sauce. And finally, Dongyang chicken is the last thing. And Dongyang chicken basically is a parboiled chicken dish flavored with chili peppers, Sichuan peppercorns, white rice vinegar, scallions, and ginger. Which is quite tasty chicken, that's for sure. And finally, the last cuisine topic for today, one of the unique regional cuisines, Jiangsu Cuisine, which is one of the traditional ways of cooking itself. It's centered around the Shenyang province, which is located south of Shanghai. And it's centered around Hangzhou, a historic Chinese capital. Now, it's not cuisine, but has a fresh and soft flavor with mellow fragrance. There's at least 3 styles to the cuisine, each originating from a major city in the province. Hangzhou, which is rich variations, and it often used bamboo shoots. Then there's Shaoxing style, focused on poultry and freshwater fish. And Ningbo style, which is seafood with emphasis on fresh and salty dishes. And they make all sorts of different things as well. So first is dongpo pork, which is fried pork belly, and they stewed it in soy sauce and wine. It's a thick cut of pork with fat, lean meat with some skin. The mouthfeel is oily but not greasy, and it's named after the Song Dynasty poet Su Dongpo. And the legend actually says that during his life of poverty, he braised the pork, added yellow wine to make it red braised pork, and then he stewed it on low heat. And it grew to major popularity in the region as well. The next one is a very interesting one, and that's Wenzu pig powder, which is basically a rice noodle soup containing pig intestine and duck or pig blood, and it's very popular in Wenzhou. But I mean, they use all sorts of different ingredients, and it can be eaten at breakfast or throughout the day in the city. Which is very unique for the city. And finally, hibiscus mud crab, which they cook the mud crab, and they cook it with egg, green vegetables, chicken stock, and Shaoxing wine. They make some delicious crab recipes. In addition, they also make beggar's chicken as well, which is chicken that's stuffed and wrapped in clay and lotus leaves as well. So overall, that's going to be the end of the 8 great culinary traditions of China. Like I said, bit of a summary. Just a bit of a summary to talk about. And yes, I do need to catch up with the rest of you guys. I'm gonna go. You're full throttle. This may not be true. America's version of Chinese food is largely derived from the Calvin Gorush chuck wagon mixtape brine seasoned ingredients. It's actually... Yes and no. Actually, yes, sir. Yes and no. One hand, it did grow during the Chinese gold rush, but a lot of it was from Chinese immigrants who seek the United States as railroad workers. Though they did have some restaurants. A lot of the Chinese immigrants modified their taste for more American palate tasters. And they adapted a lot of the local ingredients to the customer's taste. But I know in recent years they've been more and more going back to China, back to traditional cuisine. We're having Chinese stir fry in a while. Awesome. That sounds delicious. Thank you guys so much. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to the scenery. So we're flying across the coast here. We have Mongo still here. We have Dougal in the Spitfire. Nightstep. Count Nightsteps further ahead. Right, I'm saying the fast food Chinese is the equivalent of saying Chinese is Mexican food. Yeah. Pretty similar. You could say more likely Tex-Mex is kind of your American taste. Yeah, very much. Sure, your description is correct. Yeah. Pretty much. But I mean, that's what a lot of that's what immigrants usually do, is try to adapt things and make your own sort of thing. We're about 114 nautical miles out from our flight. So we're just gonna go, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, so get caught up back to Count Zepp. Let's get caught up. Let's go to my two-tone Murphy panel. So, okay, Zepp's going in my direction. So I hope you guys liked the slideshow that I worked. I know I worked very hard on it. So I guess after this, if you want me to, and you guys want to recreate the flight for yourselves, I'll post all the stuff in the Discord. As well. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this flight today. Tonight's been a great flight. Yeah, Chinese food is such a culinary delight, because there's so many different, because China's such a large and diverse country with different geography. It just creates so many delicious food. So let's go ahead and put on back the music. Oh, I see you, Concept. There you are. There you are, my friend. So... yeah, Dougal is doing some awesome flying. But seriously, thank you guys so much for coming here today. I know this is a crazy journey. 5,000 nautical miles. It's one insane trip in Yonkers. So what I'm planning to do is we're doing the bush flights twice a week now, because I still need to read the book contained for the Delta Alpha Quebec Uniform India restoration trip. So I still need to read more about it. I haven't gotten the time to read, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. Wednesday's bush flight is going to be in Laos. It's Southeast Asia, a place where not many people ask, what, Laos? Never heard of it. We're going to be flying to Laos on Wednesday. Next week we're going to, in the next Sunday, we're probably going to fly somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to fly in the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to do some seaplane hop. We're going to do some float plane stuff in the Pacific Northwest. So that's going to be for the next couple streams. So Wednesday, trip to Laos. Next Sunday will be a flight into the Pacific Northwest again. I've always wanted to do some Pacific Northwest flying. And plus, I haven't done much flights with float planes, so this is going to be pretty cool for next Sunday. So our next place is going to be a place called Tianjin. Now, Tianjin is actually one of China's largest cities. Its main city is one of the 9 national central cities in all mainland China. And it's actually one of the largest cities in China. It has a population of 13,866,009 inhabitants of the 2020 census, and its built-up area consists of nearly 15 million people. In terms of urban population, Tianjin is the 4th largest city in all of China, by urban population behind Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou. And in terms of administrative area, it's the 5th largest city in China. Now Tianjin was the walled city was built in 1404 during the Ming Dynasty, and it became a treaty port since 1860, and is a major seaport and gateway to Beijing. During the Boxer Rebellion, this city was the seat of the Tianjin Provisional Government, which was formed by the Eight Nation Alliance, and under the Qing Dynasty in the Republic of China, it was one of the largest cities in the region. After the founding of the PRC, Tianjin suffered depression due to policy of the central government and the 1976 earthquake, but recovered back in the 1990s. It has now since been a dual-core city as well. And by the end of 2010, around 285 of the Fortune 500 companies have set up base in Beijing, known as China's Manhattan. Pretty cool stuff as well. Now, the city itself has several historic sites, mainly with early historic 19th and early 20th century European architecture. And much of the colonial architecture is placed under protection. As well. In Tianjin was actually one of the places that was signed by the Treaty of Tianjin in 1856, and there are 9 concessionary bases in the city. And they were often owned by quite a few countries: Austria-Hungary, Belgium, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Russia, and the United States all owned areas in Tianjin during that time. Pretty crazy to think about that some nations can actually be in the city. As well. So yeah, this city is one of China's most important cities. It's definitely a pretty cool area to visit. And like I said, for you guys going here for the first time, I usually bring these PowerPoints so we can learn about the areas we're flying in. Since I think Flight Sim offers a great avenue for education and to learn more about the areas we're flying. That's just how I think. We're only 93 nautical miles away, guys. This is we're near the end of the journey. So yeah, the Concorde's also going to be released, guys, if you haven't noticed. The Concorde would be released on March 30th. So we're going to get the Concorde as well, which I'm pretty hopeful it's going to be really good. I mean, like I said earlier, like a long while ago, I'm excited for having really good airliners for the sim, because I think that was the one part of the sim that was really needed, is the jets. Have you not seen from Britain? Hey, paparazzi! I did. It actually looks insane. So they got the Boeing facility in Britain. I did see it on Sim Market. Well, I don't usually buy airports. I use on Sim Market. That was Drasiski Design. He did quite a few airports in Poland. Yeah, I did see it. It looks absolutely awesome there. But here's the thing, I don't usually buy lots of airports unless it's places I like to fly very often. But I bet the detail's absolutely insane on it. Yeah, Renton's where a lot of the 737s are produced. Right there in Renton. There's Binha Airport. This is the main international airport for Tianjin. Here's the main international airport here. Oh! Token Brown has just followed. Token Brown. Welcome to the chat here, Token Brown. Thank you so much for coming here today. So we're almost to Beijing. We're nearly this is part of the 1926 Berlin-Beijing historical recreation. We are on our final leg of a trip. We're in Tianjin right now. We're about 82 nautical miles from our destination in Beijing. It's going to be pretty crazy today for the least.
I wonder is there
they turn into Tianjin. Now, in the notes, it says, like I said earlier, it's an important port city for northern China, Mongolia. So from there, we're going to follow the Beihai River into Beijing. We're basically going to follow the Beihai River. But I mean, this just shows you the size of China's cities. It's huge. Google Earth. So I'm looking at Google Earth to see what Tianjin looks like from Google Earth. Doesn't show much, but he definitely sees the image. Oh, and guess what I also heard? The Got Friends. Now, that's something I just found at Viperstrike TO. So Got Friends released a remastered version of the EA7 Optica, the Got Friends version. So they give a brand new, updated version of the plane, and I wonder if anyone's ever flown that yet. Hey, Token Brown, which server? Let me show you. I'm on the East USA server. Token Brown, I'm on East USA. Sorry I had to step out. No worries, K-Wart. Okay, I gotta turn myself around. I missed the waypoint slightly. There's the river. Cheers, no worries. Yeah, it's half price for now for $10. The textures are 100 better. Doors open completely. I might actually get the Optica at some point, do some flying at some point. So afterwards, I want to talk about the last remaining things in my slideshow. So this is part 2 of the Chinese cuisine. So for Chinese cuisine, one of the main staples of Chinese cuisine is rice, wheat, and noodles, particularly rice, especially in southern China. Rice has been cultivated here for thousands of years, and they produced not just normal rice, but they can also be used to make beer, baju, and vinegar as well. And they also make sticky rice too. There's also wheat, which has grown here since the 2600 BCE, and noodles as well, which come in a variety of shapes, textures, and sizes, and used in soups or toppings as well. Then there's also soybean products, usually tofu, which is another very popular food product. Then there's also some vegetables like corn, baby corn, bok choy, snow peas, Chinese eggplant, and more. They also use bean sprouts too, and bamboo shoots. They use a variety of herbs and seasonings throughout cuisine, like ginger root, garlic, scallion, cilantro, and sesame. But then we get to desserts, and generally, most likely, seasonal fruits. Desserts, the most common dessert is fruits. Usually dim sum can revert to desserts and pastries as well. Chinese desserts are often served with tea during a meal or at the end of meals. So you see all sorts of different pastries, like sweet steamed broiled sweet snacks. They do shaved ice. There's also pastries too, but they're not nearly as popular. Yep. But then we got to talk about the last thing about China, and that's the drinks. But without question, the single most important drink in Chinese cuisine is tea. Tea has been around. China was the first nation to cultivate and drink tea, and it's enjoyed by all people from all social classes. And it's been processed after the Qin and Han dynasties way back before Christ existed, BCE. And there are many different varieties of tea: black, white, green, yellow, oolong, and dark tea, and it's often classified into several different categories according to the species of plant it was sourced and the region it was grown and method. There are 4 major tea plantation regions in China: Jianbei, Jiangnan, Hunan in the southwestern region. And there's all sorts of different green teas like Longjing, Guangshang, and more. And China is the world's largest exporter of green tea. Then we're going to talk about alcoholic beverages because there's one particular one. Baijiu, or white liquor, is the most consumed alcoholic spirit in the world, and it dates back to the Song Dynasty when they distilled it. It can be made of wheat, corn, or rice, and is usually around 120 proof or 60% ABV. But there's 2 main brands. There's a cheaper variant known as Go Tu and the premium Maltai. And finally, they also drink purple teas like purple teas made from municipal farms. So that's going to be the end of Chinese cuisine. Just a quick summary. You may have heard the expression that something priceless is when you have selling prices not for all the tea in China. I don't think I heard that one how it's said, but I think I do. That's a lot of tea. It is. China's made crap ton of tea. What a great flight. I believe the tea leaves are trimmed like a hedge like fruit and processed. I believe that is what the case in Chinese tea. In fact, during the Ming Dynasty, tea was such a popular thing that they often used as currency. Back into it. So, harvesting tea itself depends on weather conditions. So tea can't be produced for the entire year. And for the optimal growing conditions for tea, they often provide stable, warm weather and rainfall. Which is why they only grow in specific regions. And they often pick teas early morning before sunrise. And they had to do careful techniques to ensure the leaves were gently picked. And so the pickers used one or both hands to nip the green stems with their index finger. Then after they were picked, the family sorted out the damaged or rotten leaves, and then began the sunning process, which inhibited water evaporation to produce oxidation. Over-oxidation can alter the taste of tea to become grass-like or thick and bitter. So the farmers heated the leaves to stop oxidation once the desired levels was reached, known as firing. Then the leaf cells were broken down by gently rubbing the tea leaves. And then once they were damped and rolled into shapes, then they can sort them out and package them to whatever tea they make. That's kind of how tea's made. But yeah, Chinese tea making definitely is a very traditional thing. Oh man! Guys, did you see who's flying with me now? We have K-Ward, Noodle McTavish, Token Brown, Mongo, and Pilot Peely! Yo, it's Peely! Along with Counts Up ahead of me. I can't believe you all come here to fly with me today. This is amazing, guys. So many amazing people here today. Wow, so many awesome people here. Thank you guys so much for flying with me today. We're nearly about the end of our journey. This is amazing, guys. I can't believe that it's been amazing. 5,000 nautical miles. I mean, what a journey. So many awesome people. I'm just gonna give you see all the guys in front of me. So one final thing, the last topic for today, and this is the finale, the last slide. Welcome to Beijing. Beijing's coming up soon. The capital of the People's Republic of China, the world's most populous capital city with over 21 million residents, and it's the third largest city in China, behind Guangzhou and Shanghai. It is a global city and has been one of the world's leading centers in many areas: culture, diplomacy, politics, finance, business, economics, education, research, language, tourism, sport, and much, much more. Beijing is home to most of China's largest state-owned companies, and the largest number of Fortune 500 companies on the planet are from Beijing, and it's the billionaire capital of the world. Combining both modern and traditional architecture, Beijing is one of the oldest cities on the planet, dating back to over 3 millennia, and it's one of the last of the 4 great ancient capitals of China, making it the political center of the country for the past 8 centuries. And for most of the second millennia, it was the world's largest city in population. This place is known for its opulent palaces, temples, parks, gardens, tombs, walls, and gates. And it's one of the most important tourist destinations as well, hosting 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The Forbidden City, the Temple of Heaven, Summer Palace, the Ming Tombs, Sichuan Cuisine, and parts of the Great Wall of China. Yeah, all of that's in Beijing. It's an epic. How long we're into Beijing? We're only 45 nautical miles remaining to Beijing. It is pretty incredible. And in the center, there's a lot of P-Way landmarks in Beijing. I may have to actually continue the flight into Beijing, maybe bring an ultralight and fly around the city. I bet that might be next Sunday stream, is we do the after stream and we visit Beijing. Fly through the city in ultralight. And I'll give you a tour of each of the landmarks. But yeah, Beijing's history goes way back. pretty amazing stuff, that's for sure. Oops, forgot my wallet. You need to go back. So many amazing people here. Thank you guys so much. There's so many amazing people here today. But yeah, China's home to, like I said, home to tons of landmarks. The Forbidden City, the Temple of Heaven, the Great Wall of Modeling, which is the continuation of the Great Wall. So many landmarks. You also have the Beijing National Stadium, too. Like, in terms of landmarks, Beijing has so many of them, I don't even know where to begin. That's why I say it's one of the world's great cities for a reason. Now, in the journey of the flight notes, Dr. Noss was impressed with the greenness of Beijing, and according to him, without the impressive square of the city walls, the city's almost invisible, with low roofs and houses disappearing over the trees. Well, I mean, that was back in 1926 when he wrote it. If he went to Beijing now, he'd be shocked how much Beijing's grown. Oh gosh, we're only 25%. I'm only 25%. Oh boy. I think we have enough fuel. I think the Junker says just enough fuel. Hey, Sky Command! Good to see you. We're in the final leg of the journey, man. We're in Beijing. We're heading to Beijing, the final leg of the journey. Man, what a flight this has been, guys. This is unbelievable. Now we are going to land in. We're going to go land at Beijing Naihuran Airport. This used to be the main international airport of Beijing. I believe. Now, Beijing Naihuran is a military airbase, and it served as a passenger airport until 2019. Now, that airport was originally built in 1910. Which makes it one of the oldest airports in the entire world. It was established, in fact, it was one of the, when it was first opened in 1910, it was one of the 3 operational airports opened before 1910. It was the first airport in all of China. He describes it as almost a garden city. Yeah, because Beijing was really green during that 1926. Lots of gardens and everything. But I mean, he wouldn't. I mean, if he looked at it now, yeah, it is amazing, Sky Command. What a way to cap off a fantastic journey. I think I know who we're going to rate today. I think we're going to rate B-Mint today. I haven't rated her in a while. Yeah. Please don't forget about the notes of the return journey. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget about the rate. I'm going to do it once we land, actually. If you don't mind, I'll talk about when we land. And I'll talk about the rest of it when we land. I'm not forgetting about it, man. Yep, I'm not forgetting. So once we turn here, we'll just go 26 nautical miles to China's first airport. Now serves as a military base for the Chinese Air Force. But you see, what's interesting is that Beijing has not one but two international airports. First is ZBAA, the capital airport, which is represented in the sim. And then finally, the other one is actually a relatively new airport, Beijing Daxing Airport. Okay, time to turn left. Can we sample the air from the capital city to the sunroof? Now 1926, the pollution isn't so bad. Okay, overhead roof. Runway 18 or 26. I actually don't care. We can land through 36. Let's land through runway 36 and we can end the journey. Yeah, and this thing also has a sunroof. The Kodiak has a cup holder, but it doesn't beat the sunroof on this. So, okay, I found China's new international airport they just built. So China's got a new international airport right here, which is Beijing Daijing Airport, which is their brand new international airport, which is right here. Now, of course, this is not in the sim because they haven't updated enough They haven't built the model for the new airport and all that yet. Even though that's China's brand new airport. Sure, it looks like roadkill from the game Frogger. Yeah, but it's actually huge. Skyscrapers at 2 o'clock. Yeah, I think I can definitely see. I think that's one of the landmarks, PY landmarks from the sim. So okay guys, since we're pretty close to landing and we're nearly there, 16 more nautical miles, I'm going to go ahead and get a predict in the chat. So press exclamation point predict, go with the negative sign, and then we just pick the number. In this case for me, negative 95, after my own username. But wow, guys, this has been amazing. What an absolute journey. 5,000 nautical miles. What an insane trip. And yeah, I see the skyscrapers. Yeah, these are the Chinese PY landmarkers in Beijing. One of them is the CCTV headquarters, which is the Chinese TV headquarters, the World Financial Center, and the China World Trade Center. I think those are the 3 landmarks. I also think Grand Millennium too. So, congratulations, Viper. Thanks a bunch, Mongo. So fly with me for the final leg of the trip. Count Zubs ahead of me. Behind me, we have Token Brown, Mongo. Mongo, who is here. We have Pilot Peely in the Spitfire. Thank you guys so much. I mean, this is unbelievable, guys. What a way to end this journey. And what a way to do it. In Beijing, of all places. What a crazy way to end it, you know? Oh yeah, and there's Dougal and K-Ward down below too. This is amazing, everyone. What an incredible. Like, I know a lot of you thinking, Viper epic it is. I like to do this historical stuff. I like my journeys. I like everything else. Super happy to get this over with. I absolutely love my journeys. We're going to go ahead and get this prepared to land. And we like your stream. Thank you a bunch, friend all. What a great way to end this stream, guys. I mean, I know I get excited for it, but trust me, I have every reason to get pretty excited for it. Like, yeah, CBY is the end. There's our airport. And our airport is right here. There it is. There's the airport. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to flap. Slow down things a little bit. Raise the flaps. I mean, this... Pilot Peely, great to have you here. Thanks for flying along with me today. It does mean a lot for me to fly. So many amazing people here. Landing gear check. Well, no need for the landing gear. This thing's got fixed landing gear. Okay. Which airport you land at? ZBNY. Right in front of me. Beijing Nauru Airport, the oldest airport in all China. I'm gonna turn here. Just doing this to kind of bite off speed. Okay. Yonkers is made for these slow approaches. Right, made. I mean, I should probably do a good job landing this. After all, I've been dominating acing these lane challenges. $72 knots. Look at that. Okay, that's a butter landing that I know of. And wow, that was amazing. Dougal, congratulations on the win. That's the closest to 59. That is move. Land at 59 knots. Pretty nice. Let's go ahead and stop, and let's check out some of the other ones. Let's see if the other people know how to land. First is Token Brown in the SR-22 Cirrus. A very capable fixed gear plane. Very capable. I don't think the Twin Otter, I don't think you don't even really need flaps in the Twin Otter. You can probably land it normal. There's more than enough runway for a Twin Otter. I also forget Dougal and K-Ward are also going to have to land too. Does Pilot Peely. The runway 18, Dougal is going to attempt to pass over me to spit. Look out, Dougal! Okay, you did not crash. Oh no, you passed over me. Here it is. Mongo's going to attempt to land this in the incredibly capable Twin Otter. And yes, I managed to land this thing on top of Mount Everest, so I know how capable that otter can really be. And he gets down. Easy landing in the otter. Otter has a really easy time landing. Oh, here's K-Ward. He's going to attempt to land the spit on the other runway. Right. Now the spit, thankfully, is easier to land than take off. I've flown the Spitfire a few times. Much easier to land than to take off. And K-Ward nails the landing. You nailed it. Nicely done, K-Ward. Like I said earlier, Spit is a really easy plane to land. It's actually taking off is the issue. I've always had issues taking off with the Spit. There goes the Spitfire. Great landing with the Spit. Dougal, nicely done. And we got one final landing to do. I landed at 18, but you can land at 36. You can land whatever runway you want, Peely. I landed on 18. I landed on 36. You can land at 18. But we're gonna do a little drone work over Beijing. Just a little drone work. So yeah, this is downtown Beijing. There's the Forbidden City all the way over there. Still doing some bit of drone cam work. You got this, Peely? Nicely done, Pilot Peely. That's it, everyone. We're done. Wow. What what an end to this amazing journey. I can't believe this. Our journey is finally over. 5,008 nautical miles, 14 legs, 5,008 nautical miles for Germany, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Russia, Kazakhstan, and China. That is amazing, everyone. That's amazing. I mean, what a journey. We had to get through some tough weather conditions like fog, rain, winds. But man, the sights we did see is absolutely amazing. Thank you, everyone, so much. Let me go ahead and get a picture for everyone here. I got yours too, Peely. And I got a picture for everyone. This is amazing. Let me go ahead and set this to the sunset here. What an ending. Thank you guys so much. Now, before we end this trip, there are a couple things. Now let's finish up the notes and we'll talk about what happened after we landed in our airport. So, once we landed at the airport, there was a grand reception with the presentation of medals and banquet. Many high representatives of the Chinese government and German embassy are present from Beijing. Now it's quotes from a Chinese newspaper's report full of amusing errors. On inspecting the plane, the reporter finds a leisure room and reports that the wings can be filled with gas to make them lighter. They stayed in Beijing all the way till September 8th. The return flight included an emergency landing gear near Halar in pouring rain to solder a leaking radiator. Subsequently, the planes get stuck on muddy ground, and two members of the crew swim across a flooded stream just to reach to the nearest station. An express train stopped between stations and supplied the planes with food and supplies. And then they had to wait for 2 uncomfortable days before the rain finally lets up and they could take off again. And there was one final hiccup that occurred when they landed back at Kunger to replace the airfield in Krasnoflimsk, which gave them so much trouble in the outward journey. They discovered that the replacement was even worse. It was half flooded, full of holes and trenches, so they had to pass over and find a suitable dry field 20 kilometers away. They now have a problem with the fuel is at Kunger Airfield, so Nas and another member had to hire a horse and cart from a farmer to make it away to get their fuel. And the next day is carted out to the planes, and they continue to flight all the way until on September 26 at 11:30, they landed back at Berlin Tempelhof for a grand reception. And that concludes the flight of the 1926 Berlin to Beijing flight from this incredible journey. And I know a lot of people think it isn't as well known as the Emilian O'Hara flights. True. But when you talk about German aviation and the history of it, this was an important chapter in that story. But seriously, I want to thank everyone here. Peely, Token Brown, Mongo, Dougal McTavish, K. Warts, and especially Nightzep. Thank you so much, guys, for this incredible journey. And of course, I thank everyone else here in the chat, too, for coming along on this journey in the chats, lurking. You guys are welcome. I also thank Splasher6, Bloxtrot, and so many awesome people for this journey. So for the plans for the next coming week, on Wednesday, we're going to pack our bags and head to an unusual country in Southeast Asia as we visit Laos. And next Sunday, we will do the Bush Flight series. And on that one, we're doing a float plane ride into the Pacific Northwest in the Aviat Husky. So that is going to be our plan for the next week. So we're going to actually go and find a raid, and I think it's pretty obvious we raid B-Mint. We're going to raid Minty today, so I hope you guys stick around for the raid. And I hope you guys have an absolutely incredible rest of your Sunday and your week. I want to seriously thank everyone here for this incredible journey. You guys are what really made this possible. So take care, everyone. Viperstrike 95, out.